At 4:07 a.m. on May 7, 2007, Wilibaldo Durantes Antonio finished his shift at Nathan's famous hot dogs inside the Luxor's food court. Walking arm in arm with his girlfriend Karen through the rooftop parking garage, he spotted something on the roof of his Dodge sedan, a coffee cup, just sitting there. He joked that someone had left coffee for them. Then he reached for it. An explosion ripped through the desert night. The 27-year-old's right hand was gone. Shrapnel had torn into his skull. He never even had time to blink. By the time the sun rose over that black pyramid, Wilibaldo Durantes Antonio was dead. But here's the thing about the Luxor Las Vegas. His death wasn't a surprise. Not to the locals, not to the employees who whisper about the curse in the break rooms, not to the guests who've checked out early after seeing things they can't explain. Because in a city built on luck, the Luxor has been running cold since the day they broke ground. And the body count just keeps climbing. The story of the Luxor's curse begins not with the dead, but with the desperate. It was April 1992. Las Vegas was reinventing itself. The mob era had ended. The corporations had arrived. And Circus Enterprises had a vision that would either transform the Strip or destroy their company trying. Their plan was audacious. A $375 million Egyptian-themed mega-resort. A 30-story pyramid built entirely of black glass. The largest atrium in the world. 29 million cubic feet of hollow space inside the pyramid's core. A beam of light at the apex so powerful it could be seen from Los Angeles, 275 miles away. A recreation of the Great Sphinx standing 110 feet tall, actually larger than the original in Egypt. And they wanted the whole thing done in 18 months. They hired 3,500 construction workers and more than 150 contractors. And then everything started going wrong. Working at 39-degree angles, the steep slope of the pyramid's walls was treacherous. The metal and glass exterior was one of the largest projects of its kind ever attempted. Concrete pours became nightmares. According to the child of a foreman who worked on the project, entire floors collapsed while crews were pouring concrete. Workers scrambled in chaos, and people died. The exact number has never been officially confirmed. Wikipedia states that several construction workers died during the building's hasty construction, deaths that have led to rumors that the building is cursed or haunted. Local sources, including ghost tour operators who have researched the property for years, claim the number was as high as 7 workers. But no official tally has ever been released publicly. Conspiracy theorists argue the deaths were deliberately suppressed by management to protect the resort's image before its October grand opening. Whether it was 3 deaths or 7, the pattern had already established itself. The Luxor wasn't even open yet, and blood had already been spilled on the foundation. When the resort opened on October 15, 1993, more than 10,000 people showed up. What they found was a building that wasn't finished. Guests checked into incomplete rooms. Some found exposed wiring. The inclinators, elevators traveling at 39-degree angles, malfunctioned constantly. Wait times exceeded 90 minutes. The indoor Nile River boat ride created more traffic jams than convenience. Then engineers discovered something they couldn't explain. The building was sinking. A soft spot had been found beneath the pyramid, something virtually unheard of on the Strip, where the desert floor is typically rock-hard and stable. The structure was settling unevenly into the ground. Architects and engineers scrambled to reinforce the foundation before the pyramid could tilt. They stabilized the building. But the damage, some would argue, had already been done. The Luxor had been built too fast, too cheap, and at too great a human cost. Something about that chaotic, bloody beginning seemed to have left a mark on the property that would never wash away. 3 years after opening, on September 25, 1996, the first publicized death inside the Luxor changed everything about how locals viewed the pyramid. Around 1 p.m., guests eating in the buffet area noticed a woman on the 26th floor. She was sitting on the railing of her hotel room balcony, her feet dangling over the massive 30-story atrium that forms the hollow core of the pyramid. Witnesses watched, paralyzed, as she pushed herself forward and fell. Here's what makes the Luxor's design so uniquely disturbing. The hotel rooms don't face the outside world. They face inward, toward that 29 million cubic foot void. The balconies overlook the atrium, not the strip. When someone jumps from a balcony at the Luxor, they don't land on the pavement outside. They land inside the building, among the slot machines and gaming tables, among the tourists, among the families eating breakfast at the buffet. The woman's body struck the entrance to the food court buffet. Clark County Sergeant Bill Keaton told reporters that death was instantaneous. "It was over very quickly," he said. The woman had died from severe head injuries, so severe that her face couldn't be readily identified. She carried no purse, no hotel key card, no ID, nothing to indicate who she was or why she had come to the Luxor in the first place. The Clark County Coroner's Office attempted to identify her using fingerprints and dental records. She appeared to be a Hispanic or Asian woman in her 30s. Beyond that, authorities had nothing. She had checked into the pyramid as a ghost and left the same way. To this day, the woman's identity remains unconfirmed. Her reasons for jumping are completely unknown. Rumors spread through the Vegas underground that she was a sex worker who had just received a devastating medical diagnosis, that she had come to the Luxor specifically to end her life in the most dramatic way imaginable. But these are just stories passed between bartenders and hotel staff. The actual truth died with her on that buffet floor. What is known is what happened next. The Luxor demolished the old buffet entirely. The food court was relocated to a different area of the casino. Official explanations cited renovations and modernization, but locals whispered a darker reason. No one wanted to eat where a body had landed. She wasn't the last to fall. Another guest plummeted from the 10th floor under circumstances that were never definitively ruled a suicide. In 2018, a 20-year-old fell from the 4th floor in an alcohol-related incident. He survived only because atrium decorations broke his fall. The falls became part of the Luxor's grim folklore, whispered about by staff and guests alike. Which brings us back to May 7, 2007, and the murder of Wilibaldo Durantes Antonio. The coffee cup on his car wasn't trash left by a careless tourist. It was a weapon, a motion-activated pipe bomb concealed inside a 24-ounce 7-Eleven styrofoam cup, designed to detonate the instant someone picked it up. The bomb was constructed by Porfirio Pilo Duarte Herrera, a man authorities described as a skilled bomb maker with a history of explosives crimes, including a previous bombing at a local Home Depot. The plan was orchestrated by Omar Rueda Denvers, the jealous ex-boyfriend of Karen Chali, the woman walking beside Wilibaldo that night. Rueda Denvers was the father of Chali's young daughter. After their relationship ended, he had become consumed with obsession, stalking her for months, following her movements, watching her from the shadows of the Luxor parking garage. Prosecutors would later reveal disturbing details. Rueda Denvers had watched from a distance as Chali and Wilibaldo were intimate in a car in that same parking lot. His obsession had curdled into something far darker. He wanted them both dead. At approximately 4 a.m., after both Chali and Wilibaldo had finished their shifts at Nathan's Famous, they walked to the rooftop parking garage. Rueda Denvers and Duarte Herrera had already placed the bomb on Wilibaldo's car and retreated to wait for the explosion. Wilibaldo spotted the cup. He joked about it. He reached for it. The explosion shredded his right hand instantly. A fragment of the metal pipe, the bomb's casing, tore into his skull. According to the autopsy, his injuries showed that he didn't even have a chance to blink or close his eyes when the device went off. He died at University Medical Center. Karen Chali survived only because she was shorter than the roof of the sedan. The car's body shielded her from the worst of the blast. The explosion briefly sparked fears of a terrorist attack on the Las Vegas Strip. ATF agents swarmed the scene, but within hours, investigators realized the truth. This wasn't terrorism. It was domestic obsession armed with explosives expertise. Both men were eventually convicted of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Both were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Duarte Herrera made headlines again in 2022 when he briefly escaped from a Nevada prison before being recaptured. As for the Luxor itself, the casino never closed. The parking garage wasn't shut down. the resort was not evacuated. Operations continued that morning as if nothing had happened, as if a 27-year-old hot dog vendor hadn't just been murdered by a pipe bomb hidden in a coffee cup. If any year proved the curse was real to believers, it was 2012. Within a span of months, 3 separate tragedies struck the Luxor, each one more bizarre than the last. The first was murder. A casino employee was attacked by her boyfriend in the hotel lobby, in full view of hundreds of guests. The assault was frenzied, relentless. By the time security managed to restrain the attacker, it was too late. She died surrounded by slot machines and strangers who had just watched her final moments unfold in real time. Then came the elevator shaft. On March 24th, around 3:30 a.m., 2 airmen from nearby Nellis Air Force Base got into a fight in the first-floor lobby of the Luxor's West Tower. The details of the altercation are unclear. What happened next is not. One airman shoved the other against an inclinator door. The door opened. There was no elevator car behind it. Just an empty shaft, a 25-foot drop to the basement level. The airman fell. He crashed into the basement and was rushed to University Medical Center in critical condition. MGM Resorts released a statement saying they were cooperating fully with law enforcement and state investigators. Beyond that, silence. No clear updates on the man's condition were ever released publicly. Some sources, including ghost tour operators and local researchers, report that he later died from his injuries. Though this has never been officially confirmed, how the inclinator door opened onto an empty shaft has never been explained. But perhaps the most insidious tragedy of 2012 was invisible, at least at first. In spring 2011, 2 guests who had stayed at the Luxor contracted Legionnaires' disease, a severe form of pneumonia caused by Legionella bacteria that can grow in large building water systems. The Southern Nevada Health District collected bulk water samples from the Luxor and ran tests. The results came back negative. No Legionella bacteria detected, clean bill of health. Then, in December 2011, a 3rd guest fell ill after staying at the Luxor. By January 2012, the Centers for Disease Control reported their death to local health officials. When investigators retested the water, they found what they had missed before. The Luxor's plumbing system was contaminated with the very bacteria that causes Legionnaires' disease. The hotel immediately began emergency remediation, superheating and superchlorinating a 400-room water loop where the deceased guest had stayed. MGM spokesman Gordon Absher told reporters the process was completed within a day. But for at least one guest, it was already too late. The disease had slipped past testing and taken a life before anyone realized the danger was real. Ask anyone who lives in Vegas, anyone who works on the Strip, anyone who has spent time around the Luxor, and they'll tell you the same thing. That place is different. It's not just bad luck. It's not just a statistical anomaly. There's something fundamentally wrong with the building itself. The most popular theory centers on design. In ancient Egypt, pyramids weren't palaces or hotels. They were tombs, structures built to house the dead for eternity. By constructing a pyramid-shaped casino and filling it with thousands of living guests, critics argue, the Luxor violated something sacred. It invited dark energy from the moment the first foundation stone was laid. The problems go deeper than shape. Traditional Egyptian pyramids were protected by sphinxes on multiple sides, guarding the structure from evil in all directions. The Great Pyramid at Giza may have once had 2 sphinxes, one of which was destroyed centuries ago. The Luxor has only one. Its replica sphinx sits alone at the entrance, facing the Strip. According to superstition, this leaves the western side of the pyramid completely unprotected, an open door for whatever darkness wants to enter. Some believers claim an eye needs to be placed at the top of the pyramid to break the curse. Others say nothing can fix it now. Too much death, too much suffering has already soaked into the foundation. The stain is permanent. Then there's the Titanic. In 2008, the Luxor replaced its King Tut Museum with Titanic, the artifact exhibition, housing over 250 genuine artifacts from the shipwreck, personal belongings of passengers who drowned in 1912, letters, eyeglasses, shoes, clothing, even a 15-ton piece of the ship's original hull. These aren't replicas. They're the actual possessions of 1,500 people who died in the North Atlantic. And employees say the spirits came with them. Artifact specialist Joe Zimmer told the Las Vegas Review-Journal about his experiences. Orchestral music playing after hours. When the sound system is off, his name called followed by spooky giggles, invisible forces tousling his hair and grabbing his jacket while he was alone. "Let me tell you," he said, "when you're closing this place up at midnight, you hear stuff." One morning, staff found a photograph of Bruce Ismay, the Titanic's owner who survived by escaping in a lifeboat, lying on the exhibit floor. Surveillance footage showed the picture shake, then gently move itself to the ground. No person was visible on camera. The ghosts have become almost familiar to those who work there. The most common is a blonde woman on the 12th floor. Guests describe waking unable to breathe, hands wrapped around their throats. Glimpses of a spectral woman looming over the bed. Many believe she's Sarah Gruber, a 16-year-old runaway who was strangled to death in a Luxor hotel room in October 1997 during a robbery. Construction workers are seen in the halls. When the Luxor operated its indoor Nile River tour, guests riding boats through dark tunnels reported figures in work clothes watching from the shadows, close enough to speak to, but never responding. The ride was dismantled in 1996. Ghost tour operators claim the sightings had become too frequent to ignore. In the Titanic exhibit, visitors report seeing Frederick Fleet, the lookout who first spotted the iceberg in 1912. He survived the disaster but hanged himself in January 1965. Now he's seen standing on the promenade deck replica, still searching for danger that arrived over a century ago. And then there's the skybeam, and what it summons every night. When it first lit up in 1993, the Luxor skybeam measured 42.3 billion candela, the strongest beam of light on Earth. Powered by 39 xenon lamps with 7,000 watt bulbs, pilots could see it from 275 miles away. The lamp room, 50 feet below the apex, reaches 300 degrees when lit. 5 inches above the pyramid tip, 500 degrees. Since 2008, only half the lamps have been lit as a cost-saving measure. But even at reduced power, what the light attracts is unlike anything engineers anticipated. Every night, swarms of sphinx moths, an almost too perfect coincidence for an Egyptian-themed hotel, flood the beam by the thousands, giving the light a golden shimmer. The moths attracted bats, Brazilian free-tailed bats with 10-inch wingspans, smaller western pipistrelles. Motorists pull off Interstate 15 to watch the feeding frenzy. Tourists mistake the swirling mass for UFOs. Then came the owls, great horned owls, barn owls, screech owls, all descending to hunt the bats who hunt the moths. An entire ecosystem that shouldn't exist, playing out nightly above a cursed pyramid in the Mojave Desert. In 2019, a swarm of migrating grasshoppers added to the plague. Millions of insects flooding the Vegas Valley, drawn to the brightest light in the city. Ghost tour operators call it biblical. The pyramid, the tomb, the deaths. And every night, a plague swarming the brightest man-made light on Earth. If God was sending a message, some say, it landed on the Luxor. The Luxor still stands. 4,407 rooms, 30 stories. The third largest pyramid in the world. And the incidents keep piling up. Unexplained, unresolved, unending. Maybe it's a curse. Maybe it's catastrophically bad luck. Maybe it's what happens when you build a tomb for the living and fill it with the dead's possessions. In Vegas, they say what happens here stays here. At the Luxor, that might be literally true. If you want more hidden histories of Las Vegas's darkest landmarks, subscribe. And if you've stayed at the Luxor, tell us your story.